October 26th. My name is Michelle Warren and I'm your speaker for tonight. Tonight we're going to present to you a random rules parliamentary style debate. Resolution is cake is better than pie. The way this will work is each debater does not know in what order they will be speaking. We will pull their name. Anita will help me. She will pull the name out of this portfolio and the debate will commence. For the sake of this discussion, I have defined the resolution and each of the speakers have been given the opportunity to preview and they have approved the resolution. Cake, a baked food made from dough or a thick batter, usually containing flour, eggs, sugar, and often containing fat and a rising agent. Is better than, it's simply superior, is better than. Pie, any of the various dishes with a pastry crust or topping or both, with a filling of fruit, meat, custard, etc. And with that definition read, I'm going to ask Anita to come up and select first debater for this evening.
So the Prime Minister for this evening's debate is Michael.
Michael Kayan, and he's in for 7 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, Prime Minister Michael.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the definition. Those of you who have enjoyed a cake really don't need any explanation, but normally we have three major points. There are so many reasons why cake is superior to pie that I'm not going to limit it to three main points. There are so many points that I'm going to make them all, and I think you have it within yourself to put it into groupings if you insist on a threesome. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go and give you the reasons why cakes are superior to pie. Kids love to help make and kids love to help to be in the kitchen. They love licking the bowls if you're making frosting. They love licking the beaters. They love being involved, watching it rise in the oven. It's great for kids. You can eat cakes with your fingers. You get a piece, you put on a napkin, you can eat it, you can hold it. You can't eat pie with your fingers, ladies and gentlemen. You can lavishly decorate a cake. You can do elaborate frostings. You can, you can custom order them. You can get them all sorts of different sizes. You can get them big, you can get them small, you can get them oblong, you can get them tiered, you can get them in many, many shapes, sizes, and varieties. A lot of variety with cakes. You can write things on them with icing. Now, who doesn't do that for a special celebration? That's one of the main advantages. You can't do that with pie. You can write on a cake, and what better way to celebrate and tell your loved ones what you think, what we're celebrating. Great for photographs. Nobody ever takes a photograph of a pie. Everybody takes photographs of cakes, ladies and gentlemen. So you can write things on them. That's really, really important. And write that down for those of you making notes. You can lick the icing as a pleasure we all enjoy and certainly did when we were younger. You can eat the frosting out of the tin. Sometimes if you're buying commercial, you can eat it right out of the tin. You can't eat pie fillings out of the tin. It's sickening. It's easy to make. Where did the expression, it's a piece of cake, it's a cakewalk, where did these expressions come from? They came from the fact that it's easy to make cake. Crusts are very hard to make for a pie. A piece of cake, that expression means it sums up the fact that cakes are really easy to make. Cakes are foolproof. You just get the measurements right and they're foolproof. Any idiot can make a pie. Excuse me, a cake. Pies are very difficult because the fruit is inconsistent. And I'll get into that a little later. But dealing with fruit is sometimes it's too sweet, you don't know if it's tart, you don't know if it's too ripe, it's hard to measure. You get 3 cups of apples, there's air in there, you squish it down. Very hard to measure, very imprecise, very inconsistent. Cakes are consistent, write that down. They're easy to measure, and then you can cut and serve a cake in any shape. Isn't that terrific? You can just take a big piece, little piece, oblong, square, circle, you can cut it, and pies are limited. There's a million different varieties of cakes, banana cakes, carrot cakes, nut cakes, apple cake, a million varieties. It's easy to send home, you wouldn't have thought of this, but it's easy to send home a piece of cake. Just give a napkin and away you go. You can even eat it on the way home. Try and send a piece of pie home with your friends. You have to give them a plate. 90% of a chance you're not going to get that plate. You'll never see it again. Gone. That's not true with cakes. Give the cake, you send them home. You can layer cakes. You can tier cakes. Isn't that a wonderful thing for weddings and things like that? You can make layered cake. You can have vanilla icing in the middle. You can have chocolate in the bottom and vanilla on top. You can't do this with a pie. Pies are just blah and boring. You can, there's even you can put candles on cake, which is very difficult to do in pies. You can make in endless shapes and sizes. There's a whole TV program on the different shapes that people make with cakes. You can buy cake mixes. Write that down. It's a very important difference. You can't buy pie mixes. You can make cake mixes. And anybody, if you can read, you can make a cake. You can divide evenly into squares or rectangles. You can divide it into 12 pieces if you want. 13 pieces if you want. Challenge. So you can divide it evenly into squares. You can get a corner or an end piece. You want a little bit of icing, you get a piece inside. You want a piece with 2 areas of icing, you get a side piece. You want 3 sections with icing, you get an end piece. You got, a corner piece. You got choices, no choices with it. Pie you get what you're given. They're great for birthdays and other celebrations. Have you ever heard of a birthday pie? Cakes are synonymous with celebrations, ladies and gentlemen. They don't burn your mouth as a hot pie will. They're great for literal expressions to use for a cake. You have your cake and eat it. Doesn't that take the cake? It's a great word that lends itself to many expressions. It's quicker to make. Dough is very, very hard to make. There's more volume and size. It's an impressive thing when you have a big piece of cake. You give someone a little melted down pie, boring. They're great with cheese. Cheesecake is wonderful. I mean, I needn't tell you that. With a big cake, you can have a stripper jump out of it. Have you ever seen a stripper jump out of a pie, ladies and gentlemen? I don't think so. And pies are hard for kids to make. There's no bowl to lick. You can't eat a pie with your fingers. You can't eat pie fillings out of the tin like you can. Well, you can, but who'd want to? You need a special server with pies, ladies and gentlemen. You can't lavishly decorate a pie. You can't custom order it for special celebrations. It's hard to sample a pie like it is a cake. As served hot, the ice cream gets melted all over the plate before you've even had a chance to eat it. The filling runs. If you made, and they're going to give you the expression, pie, easiest pie, nobody who's made a pie uses that expression, ladies and gentlemen. Pies are very hard to make. The temperature, the crust, you made it, you'll know what I mean. If you haven't made it, you shouldn't be even listening to this debate. Ladies and gentlemen, it's hard to send home a piece of pie. I mentioned that. You can't layer or tier a piece of pie. Too much fat. Pie is just the lard in the crust. You can't buy pie mixes. It's hard to divide evenly. They're no good for birthdays. There's no corner or end pieces on a pie. You can burn your mouth on pie. Normally. And finally, pies will overtake cake only when they learn how to frost the pie. Ladies and gentlemen, cakes are indubitably better than pies.
Thank you very much, Michael, for that piece of cake speech. 7 minutes, piece of cake. Fascinating discussion on the benefits of cake versus pie. And now to find out who our leader of the opposition is going to be, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Anita up to pick, to select. Drum roll, please.
The leader of the opposition will be Dean.
Please join me in welcoming Dean as our leader of the opposition. For 7 minutes.
Madam Speaker, we have heard from the pie hole of the Prime Minister some rather fruitless arguments, I would suggest. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to let you know that in fact pie is much, much better than cake. Firstly, our esteemed Prime Minister raises the issue of kids loving to help make cakes and licking the bowls and the beaters. Well, ladies and gentlemen, You're not going to lick the beaters that might still be on with a pie. I assure you, and children tend to like turning machines on and off when they're young. So you have to keep an eye on your kids now. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're creative enough with a pie, you can actually put a message on the pie using dough. And yes, it might take more time, but ladies and gentlemen, isn't that the point of a gift? Isn't that the point of a present? Isn't that a point of presentation? Is the effort you put into it. He has suggested, ladies and gentlemen, that anybody can bake a cake. Well, indeed, sir, anybody can bake a cake, which is why the value of the cake is lessened, ladies and gentlemen, because anybody can do it. Ladies and gentlemen, it takes a very secure, in their abilities person, to prepare a pie and present a pie. The crust itself will daunt many, like our Prime Minister, who would not dare to try to make a pie, preferring to grab a box of Duncan Hines or Betty Crocker or who knows what off the shelf. And what is in that box? Only God knows, ladies and gentlemen, because his suggestion that there is too much fat in a pie, well, I don't know. I've never seen a fat-free cake, and certainly the frosting is not fat-free, ladies and gentlemen. So his piece of cake, foolproof cake, ladies and gentlemen, is not always that way. Now, ladies and gentlemen, how many of you have heard of the Three Stooges? How many of you have watched movies from the 1920s and 30s? How many cakes do you see being thrown or smashed into the faces of people? Pies, ladies and gentlemen, that's where it's at. And even today, the Prime Minister, Jacques Chrétien, was pie. That is the ultimate. You don't cake somebody, you buy somebody. That's humiliation. As the government will be suffering at the end of this debate because of the lack of arguments. It's not rising, sir. Your arguments have no substance. Ladies and gentlemen, the fact that pies require skill, as I said, you can choose a variety of pies as well. He suggests, ladies and gentlemen, there are a multitude of cake types. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there are a multitude of pie types as well. You can have savory pies. You can have a quiche, an egg pie, and mix it in with whatever spices or flavors you might want, or herbs. The essence of a pie is the warmth, how it makes your stomach feel. On a cold day, you can warm up a pie. On a cold day, you can't warm up a cake. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing better than having ice cream on top and having it melt and caress the pie. And in fact, the ice cream would not melt if you served it with a Boston cream or a coconut cream pie, and if you don't want ice cream with it, that's fine too. But that's your option as well, ladies and gentlemen. You can accompany a pie. You can have cheese with the pie. You can have ice cream with the pie. You can have whipped cream with the pie, rhubarb pie, for example. It's a great way to get rid of zucchinis. It is a great way to get rid of excess vegetables from your garden in the fall as gifts to your friends. How many cakes do you really see at a fall fair, ladies and gentlemen? You see countless pies. Why? Because that's showing effort and skill, ladies and gentlemen. Something that the government certainly is not showing this evening. Recently on Salon.com, Vincent Rossmeyer says, in fact, he believes that pie is superior to cake. It is the perfect dessert. And in fact, the pie represents various regions for him in the United States. So if you go down to the southern United States, you might find a huckleberry pie. You might find a variety. The time of year as well. It's a celebration, not just of birthdays, but a celebration of the harvest, a celebration of the fruits and vegetables that are available to you in your garden and in your farmer's market, ladies and gentlemen. So again, the issue of tastes and flavors, there are as many flavors and tastes of pies as there are cakes. The issue of making it, again, you can very easily go to a grocery store, slap a box of cake mix in a bowl, mix it up, and fantastic. But everybody knows it's a store-bought cake, ladies and gentlemen. If it's a store-bought pie, you'll know. But why would you bring a store-bought pie if you're trying to impress your friends, ladies and gentlemen? You can also be very, you can also, if you want, you can put candles, I guess, in the pie as well, if you're creative. But ladies and gentlemen, the argument with children is always who gets that corner piece. How many kids at a birthday, I want the corner piece, it's got the icing, I don't want the icing. It is equality with a pie, ladies and gentlemen. The pie is sliced out perfectly, it's a circle. Everybody gets the same amount of crust, same amount of filling. It's perfection. And it's indeterminate, like pie itself, ladies and gentlemen. And it's a great way even to teach math to kids. There's your radius, there's your diameter, there's your circumference, there's your pie, ladies and gentlemen. So, it's fantastic. The diners that you go to as well, the restaurants, how many of them actually offer cakes, ladies and gentlemen? They don't. You get a pie. You go to the little cooler at the front, behind the countertop, and ladies and gentlemen, there's your pie. Pie a la mode. Pie with cheese again. Ladies and gentlemen, pie eats cake.
Thank you very much. Mr. Leader of the Opposition, you can come join us up at the front. For those watching at home, it's quite chilly up at the front. So, our third speaker. Drum roll, please, for Anita. So this will give us our third and fourth speakers by email.
So, for the position of member of the government, Margie.
Woo! Woohoo! Thanks to Anita, welcome Margie. Please speak to us for 5 minutes to support the government's case.
Proud I am to represent Team Cake. Thank you. Many good arguments were put forth by our fearless leader here, and I would like to follow up on some of those. I think that what we can do is summarize, seeing as though he was so enthusiastic and so effusive, just to sort of group our arguments here. One is celebration, and that may be the real key question here. When it's a celebration, you have a cake, right? As a comedian said, candles in a cake means it's somebody's birthday. Candles in a pie means someone's drunk in the kitchen. Alright? So, cake is practical no matter the time of day. That's our second argument. In the morning, you get up, you have a muffin, you have a pancake. You don't have a pan pie. What a foolish idea that would be, and messy to boot. It is really the best delivery for frosting, and that's our third argument right there. It's about the frosting and the decoration, which ties back in with the celebration. It all comes together, folks, with cake. Cake brings people together. When there's a milestone in your life, do you have a wedding pie? I don't think so. A multi-layered wedding pie?
Here.
No, you're gonna have a cake. That's what you use to impress people. Why, they have whole programs on the Food Network dedicated to it, websites. Even in a more casual atmosphere, say funnel cakes brings back memories of summer and being at the amusement park and enjoying yourself. So, even though it's a basic recipe as defined, flour, eggs, sugar, butter, it is incredibly versatile. And it's not just versatile for all the flavors, because a Boston cream pie, which is actually a cake, is very different from a Black Forest cake, is very different from a pound cake. Incredible versatility there. And there's not only the fact that it brings people together in celebration, but you can do things like have a divorce cake. Cake is the only only dessert that can be eaten ironically, folks. And just for further proof of that, I direct you to the Cake Rex website, which is phenomenally popular, showing cakes that are unintentionally sad or funny. Is there any equivalent pie website? I laugh. That would be such a website. I mean, after all, filling. I mean, it's basically a derogatory term for when you don't have enough of the good stuff, right? That's what makes up a pie. You have the filling and you have crust. What do kids not want to eat? Crust. What do you leave over? Crust. Pies, crust, top and bottom, around filling. Really, if you think about it, the whole thing should just be thrown away. There's really just nothing there. Cake is also easier to cut and eat. Pie has this unnerving tendency to take on blob-like characteristics. But I'm going to bring you back to the fact that cake is where, when there's going to be a birthday at work, everybody's thinking, what? Cake, cake, cake. Don't care whose birthday it is, cake. That's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. It's also more practical in emergencies. Just as an extra there, it's an extra bonus. Doesn't fit into our main three arguments, but I thought I'd mention if you jump from a burning building into a pie, it's all liquid. It's like hitting a swimming pool. But if you jump into a cake, you're gonna get some cushioning there, kind of like landing on a sponge, especially if it's sponge cake. We're going to say that it's very appropriate for all times of year, for all sorts of celebrations. And everyone looks hot eating cake. Everyone looks ridiculous eating pie. It has been found that every cake-dependent job creates 2.5 local support jobs that are good for employment. Every pie-dependent job only creates a part-time position as a church volunteer in Bombay. Eating cake, dealing with the icing, making decisions about decorating builds character. Pie eaters are known to lack spine and basic decision-making skills. Character flaws which, if encouraged, will lead to the downfall of Western civilization as we know it. People, cake is clearly superior to pie.
Thank you very much, Madame Speaker for the Government. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to wrap up the formal and introductory part of the debate, we're going to have Jim Smith come up. Anita doesn't have to come up. Jim is the second speaker. No, come on up. Second speaker for the opposition. Please join me for 5 minutes of welcoming Jim.
Madam Speaker, opposition members of the government, fellow members of the opposition, ladies and gentlemen, the government is trying to pull the wool over your eyes. What is it that the government is trying to convince you of? That cakes are better than pies because kids have fun in the kitchen? Well, that's been dealt with by the leader of the opposition. It doesn't make any difference whether it's cake or pie that they're making in the kitchen. They can have a good time with either. Some of the points that the PM has raised, it's great to have different sizes of cake. Well, you can have great sizes of pies, different sizes of pies. It's ubiquitous. A pie is universal. The Prime Minister pointed out that you can have maths lessons made out of pie, like what's the volume of this pie and the circumference and the diameter of pies. Pies, ladies and gentlemen, are not only the equal of cakes, they are superior in many ways. I have to bring this up with the seconder of the government. What exactly is wrong with being drunk in the kitchen, madam? I mean, what is it about being drunk in the kitchen? Is it that you personally have some issue with? Ladies and gentlemen, cake, by its very definition, is sugary substances. What about the health aspect, ladies and gentlemen? Is it so that cakes are just there as a sugary kind of substitute? They are. Pies are ubiquitous. You can have dead animals, you can have vegetables, you can have all sorts of things in pies, which you would not see in a cake, ladies and gentlemen. What these people here on the government is trying to do is to convince you of their elitism. Cakes are not just for everyone, they're just for the elites. Ladies and gentlemen, this is obviously false. the Secretary of the Government obviously wants you to consider having a divorce cake. Okay, so it's there for people who want to celebrate having a divorce, but I don't think this comes into cake versus pie argument. The Secretary of the Opposition also pointed out that everyone in businesses want to have cake. Well, this is a misnomer, ladies and gentlemen. People want a bit of a sugary boost, and have you ever seen after a birthday party at the office how much cake is left over? Ladies and gentlemen, it's such a waste that cake is thrown out willy-nilly because people just don't want it. It's a proven fact. And these people in Bangladesh who are relying on pie fillings, ladies and gentlemen, the people here in the government do not want to give anything towards third world countries. They feel that people here should be keeping their jobs, when obviously making pie fillings in third world countries is a much more economically viable way of keeping people employed. Ladies and gentlemen, pies. Pies are universal. Pies can be used for anything, ladies and gentlemen. You do not have to have sugar. You do not have to have flour. You can put anything into a pie. That's what makes it universal. Everyone has access to pies. It's a leavening instance of everyone who can have access to pies.
What are you talking about?
Because pies are far more universal, far more useful than cakes. Has anyone ever heard of a steak and kidney cake, ladies and gentlemen? No.
Thank goodness.
I have. Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, what is it that makes pies better? Well, it's in the definition. Pies are there identifying any of various dishes. It's far more universal than cake. Any various dishes. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, people are far more able to access pies than they are cake. Another reason, ladies and gentlemen, pies do not take themselves seriously. Pies are there for the people. Pies are there for everyone to make use of. Think of it as a people food. Cake has a very limited, very limited market because it's only a few people that can eat or are interested in just a sugary mess. Pies can be used for anything. They're not just a single use. You can actually have, pie is a virtuoso food, ladies and gentlemen. It is not like cake that only has one particular fascination, one particular direction. Pie can be used for anything. In short, ladies and gentlemen, cake is elitist. Cake is divisive. Cake divides us and pie unites us. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the pies that bind.
Elitist cakes versus the elitist pies. That concludes the introductory portion of our debate. So what we have next is the summations. Just giving the Leader of the Opposition 2 seconds to finish writing his sentence. Leader of the Opposition, Dean, will come up and speak to us for 2 minutes, at which point he can address any outstanding issues, but he cannot introduce any new materials, and neither will the Prime Minister be able to do that when he comes up following Dean. So please join me in welcoming Leader of the Opposition for summations. Dean, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As we've talked about, pie is better than cake. Why? Because pie is an option for variety, as we have said. There are a variety of cakes, certainly, but there are a variety of pies, and not just the sweet pies, ladies and gentlemen, the savory pies, the custard pies, the animal material, the meat pies, and the like. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what is available to cooks and to the public. Cake is cake is cake. It's sugar is sugar is sugar. That's basically it. It's not beneficial health-wise, as my compatriot has stated. It is a way to enhance a meal. It is a way to make people come together and enjoy a meal, not just eat it and run off. The value, again, in a pie is that there is effort put into making it, that it is a sign of caring, a sign of love, a sign of friendship when you offer that to somebody else. Not a cake that you pull off the shelf, throw out of a box, throw some canned frosting on, ladies and gentlemen, and give it to somebody and say, ta-da, look at that. We've already stated a 6-year-old can do that, ladies and gentlemen. Big deal. That doesn't show the effort. Pie is effort in a pan. Ladies and gentlemen.
Effort in a pan.
Yes, effort in a pan. Pies are an opportunity to enjoy the variety available in various parts of a country and at various times of the year, ladies and gentlemen. The fruits and the vegetables and the products that we have around us can be put into a pie to enhance the meal. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why pie is better than
Thank you very much, Mr. Leader of the Opposition, for summing up the Opposition's main arguments. And now I'm going to welcome the Prime Minister back up, Michael Cole, back up to the podium to sum up the government's point of view and also to address any outstanding issues for 2 minutes. Please welcome Michael.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Leader of the Opposition obviously prefers pies, which is surprising because you think he would identify with a well-risen cake which is full of hot air. Ladies and gentlemen, I would bet the farm, and I mean this seriously, that the Leader of the Opposition has never made a pie. I would bet all I have on that. Never tried to roll out, never done it with lard that wasn't cold enough on a sticky board and couldn't get it up and couldn't get it over. I would bet anything. And they say the kids can do pie. Anybody, well, I'd like to see. He couldn't even make it. A child would have less luck, ladies and gentlemen. It appeared to me, desperation on their side, their best argument was that pies are good because you get rid of leftover zucchini. Oh, yum! Whoa, bring it on. Ladies and gentlemen, the opposition didn't prove that pie is superior. They didn't even attempt to. They didn't compare our points with theirs. The government gave our points. They didn't deal with them. They had their prepared little spiel, desperate as it was. But they didn't look at our points. It was all, did you hear one fact? Any research? Any statistics? It was just a bunch of platitudes and assertions, ladies and gentlemen. Jim, the opposition says that you can make a pie any size. Obviously, he's never shopped in a food store and tried to find pie plates in all these various sizes. No such thing, ladies and gentlemen. Impossible. And another strong argument, very strong argument, and that's we were told that pies don't take themselves seriously. Strong arguments, ladies and gentlemen. We're told something. They talked about kids turning on machines. I didn't grasp that. They said cakes are easier to make, therefore less desirable. I suggest that nobody cares about that. They only care how it tastes, and cakes are obviously more tasty. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close with an argument that the opposition said, which frankly proves our point. And he said, how many kids asked for corner pieces? They asked for corner pieces because they're good. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Michael, for that. And we welcome back our 2 adjudicators who are here to tell us the winners, award the coveted prize of Best Random Rule Debaters for Tuesday, October 26, 2010. Please join me in welcoming both Anita and Kayan. For 10 minutes.
Right. So I'm just going to start things off and go over the some of the things based on arguments, content, rebuttal, teamwork, and style. First of all, I thought it was like incredible. I thought it was like so incredibly clever. It was just the things that were going back and forth. Obviously, I think people did work on this because you could never sit down and come up with those few things tonight, that the arguments that were put out. It was absolutely amazing. Things that I would never have expected to see. So, starting with the arguments, the Prime Minister got up, and I was thinking, oh, where do I ever go to try and put the content versus the arguments? Because there were so many amazing arguments, and they were brilliantly delivered. But I think that, you know, he did put content in there by giving some examples for the various arguments that he had put out. So, really, really, really well done. Moving on to the Leader of the Opposition. Absolutely tremendous, tremendous job. Starting out with the Three Stooges and the smashed pies. I mean, really probably one of the best things that you could get to sort of get people drawing back into your court again. And then I thought you did an excellent job of focusing in on a couple of things. You wanted to do the comfort food. You wanted to do the effort. And the effort making it special.
In a pan.
You know, regardless of whether you agree with it or not, he really was very clear in his arguments. He stuck to about 3, that you can have more variety, you can have healthy things, that sort of thing. Some good examples in terms of using for measurement and all of that sort of thing. So I thought it was excellent in terms of the arguments and the content and the humor and just the whole delivery of it. So moving over to Margie, being the seconder for the government. Margie did a great job of actually taking all of Michael's many things and trying to put them together for us to say, you know, we were talking about celebrations, and that covered a bunch of different things. You know, talking about the frosting and just the sheer decadence of cake, and then the versatility of a cake, that there's so many different types to sort of counter some of the arguments put up by the government, by the opposition. Also talked about, you know, to say that, you know, cake pie is about being very warm and caring. If you actually go through the work of bringing a pie, Margie came back saying that it brings people together, and it's you know, so that's just as special as how caring it is. She backed Michael up, talking about, you know, it's about the frosting. She jumped into a couple of examples with her sponge cake. Loved the argument, to counter the argument that the opposition had put in. Opposition said, you know, it's very special that you've actually done all of this work. There's no work goes into a cake. And then the argument coming back saying, well, it builds character because you have to be very creative and all of that sort of thing. So, and I love the argument about kids hate crust. I thought that was spot on. And then the humor at the end, being drunk in the kitchen, was fantastic. So Jim came in, and he went on to talk about the cakes for the elite, which was sort of, I think, what Dean was sort of saying that, you know, well, I didn't actually follow that because Dean wasn't actually saying that cakes are for the elite. He was saying they were too plain and everybody could make them, and then so they really weren't elite. But they talked about, you know, the health issue, which was backing up what Dean had said. And kids can have fun making, whether it's a pie or a cake, which was a good backup argument as well. And all the different sizes and types of cake. I loved coming back saying, so what's wrong with being drunk in the kitchen? Kind of the humor there. And then the health aspect. So I'm going to turn it over to Kayan to just talk about the summations and a little bit about what she thought on various things.
I just wanted to add on a little bit before I talk about the summations. I thought Michael did such a really good job at enumerating he has so much content, so much arguments, and I really love the style and rhetoric, lots of idioms used, like big piece of cake, and everybody used a lot of really good humor. And the stripper jumping out of the cake was a really, really good joke. I think Margie, like tonight was supposed to be a comedy night, and I thought Margie probably did the most idioms and had the most style, and for that reason, I am giving her the speaker of the tonight. And yeah, so I thought it was very, very good. I think the opposition could have done a little bit more work on bringing down some of the arguments from the government side, because they stuck a lot to things like there are TV shows about cakes. Well, there's TV shows about cops, there's TV shows about a lot of things, but why is that an argument? I think the opposition could have done some work on that. They said that cakes were easy to measure. Well, are cakes really easy to measure and consistent? I'm not sure. There's sometimes that a cake you'll make and they'll fall flat. I don't know. I think you could have used that a little bit more to your advantage. But overall, yes, really, really great debate and really good summation on Dean's side. I really understood, and as Margie said, you really brought down the argument of the effort, and I really felt like when you talked about the effort it takes to bring pie to someone, it's such a gesture, and I felt like that was a really good point, and it was brought across very well. So overall, because of the argument and the teamwork and all of the great things, I'm still giving the winners for tonight to be our government party. But it was a very, very close debate. Everybody did really well.
Okay, thank you very much, adjudicators. Not an easy job. We had the similar comments while you were outside. So we had the Jim and Dean show versus the M&Ms. The M&Ms versus the Jim and Dean show, and the collective audience went in favor of the government, and it was mentioned that it was quite a difficult decision. And I really want to go make a cake. And I just don't know pie. It's too much work, but we should go make cakes. We should have a cake making party. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Special kudos to our debaters.
Yeah, really.